And like, what are the conditions when you experience when you are racing, like the physical and the mental conditions?
Oh, so generally when I'm racing, the worst experience I have had was in Dubai so it was a 12-hour, it was a 16-hour race where we were four drivers. It's an endurance race. You know what if
Hmm.
people don't know what an endurance race is, it's a continuous race where your engines keep running and you have to keep going around the track for 16 hours, and then that's whoever wins the cup. It's like it works like that. So that was really tiring. So we went to the track at 9 in the morning, and we started. So there was qualifying at 11, and we got done with qualifying and practice. And then the race started at I think 4 in the evening, and we started, and it was continuous. So we hadn't slept. We weren't gonna sleep the whole night. So it was continuous racing, continuous going around the track for. So it was a 1 hour stint per person. But so I did four stints. So I did 4 hours, and it was pretty hectic, like on the body. I had bruises all over my back. I had blisters on my hands,
Hmm.
and it was pretty exhausting mentally and physically because we hadn't slept. So the it was really bad that way. But it was an but then at that moment I didn't know it was I had a headache, or at that moment
Hmm.
I didn't know that anything was wrong because I had so much adrenaline rush in me. I wanted to just go out there, drive my best, and come.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. I wouldn't imagine, like I honestly didn't even know that I had bruises in my back and I had
Hmm.
blisters in my hand till I reached my hotel room. And then I was like, oh shit, it's so bad. I didn't realize it on the track. So yeah, it's pretty exhausting. Like even the X30 and the Formula 4 races, you actually need to be very strong. You need to work out. It's a very physical. A lot of people don't consider racing a sport. They're like, it's just driving in circles, which is not true. It is very intense. It's very
Yeah.
physically painful and mentally painful as well.
Hmm.
A lot of so in F1, people lose 4 kgs, 3 kgs on an average every race.
Hmm.
And me, I don't lose that much, but every race weekend, I at least lose one kg or sometimes 2 kgs. It's just water weight, but then it's a lot of pressure on your body. And we don't reach those G forces, but F1 drivers, they reach 5 Gs. So it's like your head, your neck is weighed 4 times. Your body weight is carried on your neck. So when you're turning in a turn and you're traveling at 250 kilometers per hour, there's so much pressure on your neck. So your neck needs to be really strong because when your whole body weight is on your neck when you're turning the car, and when you're turning the car, so that whole pressure of your car or your body, everything is
Hmm.
reliant on your neck. So it's very, very hard, very tough. It's a very tough sport, uh, physically, mentally, everything. And yeah, and yeah, I think people should start considering it a sport. People who don't, at least now after a lot of information put out there, a lot of people have started watching it and have started giving it importance.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm really glad that it's growing as a sport nowadays. In our country, especially, I'm seeing a lot of fans approaching, a lot of fans coming. Yeah, hopefully, we can promote the Indian scene as well. The Indian scene is not very famous,
Yeah.
so the Indian Formula 4 is very intense as well. So even that is fun. So hopefully, we can promote that, and then we can get broadcasters for that as well soon. They do broadcast it on YouTube and JK Tire, the channel.
Hmm.
But if we can get a broadcaster like maybe Star Sports or even Ten Sports, that would be like a great win for the Indian
Hmm.
motorsport industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that, like people who just think that, like they are just racing in circles, to them I say that
yeah.
easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly. It's not easy at all. It's a team sport. I wouldn't say that it's just a driver sport. It's definitely a team sport. Your
Exactly.
mechanics. I have given a lot of work to my mechanics. I have crashed a lot of times. Uh I've had a lot of accidents. So this year when I was racing in the JKTI National Championship, I didn't even do my qualifying lap. On my out lap, I went and crashed, and that was my biggest low moment in my racing career because I was like, shit, I didn't even qualify. So that was the worst. So I started last in on almost all my races, and I finished in the top six, top 10, top eight actually in
Hmm.
all my races. So I was really proud about that. Two races I didn't finish because again someone crashed into me or someone did this and I spun. It was a very unlucky race for me this time. But yes, it was a very good experience. So mechanics are a big savior. They're a
Mm.
big part of your journey. They're a big
Mm.
part of the sport. Mechanics, the team principal, all of them are. I think they don't get enough credit,
Exactly.
but they are as important as the driver. I would say,
Mm.
like the mechanics especially. They work on your car. They are the ones who get you out there. They're the ones who help
Mm.
you go out there and race. And
Mm.
the small tweaks that they do are on. Sometimes they work wonders on the track. Sometimes you gain 1 second because of the small tweaks.
Mm.
You tell them and they know what's happening. If I tell them, yeah, okay, my car is understeering or oversteering, then they'll know that okay, this part somewhere we need to change this. We have to tighten it a bit. We have to loosen it a bit. So all of that, the mechanics are a big part of the sport.
Yeah. I think each and every member of the team, whether it being from
Yeah,
like the ones from the marketing section to the just the
yeah,
mechanics to the actual driver, I think
yeah,
each and everyone like has a role to play in a driver winning a championship.
yeah. True. It is very true.
Mm.
Yeah.
And like since you have raced in Formula 4 as well as in endurance race, which one do you think is like the most demanding one, the one that the driver is tested to its core?
I would say the endurance because the Formula 4 races that I've raced in have been only 15 lap races, 12 to 15 lap races. So it was very challenging but I had like 3 races in a day. So that was a little tough. It was a little after at the end of the day I was flat. I was exhausted. I couldn't do anything. But then I would say more challenging was the Dubai endurance, but just because it was a longer race and it was an overnight race, it was
Mm.
a lot more challenging as on your body. But as a whole, Formula 4 is very you are going at a very high speed compared to the go-karts. You're going at very high speeds and you're going at your body is taking a lot more wind and it's taking a lot more pressure, heat, a lot more heat.
Mm.
They're small stints, but they're more demanding, I would say. But the go-karting, the endurance was actually I think can I just rephrase my answer?
Yeah.
Actually, I would say that both. I think go-karting and Formula 4 are very exhausting. Uh, Go-karting, especially the X30, the vibrations that happen are a lot to take in for your body. And even over there, the G-forces and the downforce is really high. Even in the Formula 4 cars, it's really high. So demanding, I would say both. There's if you're driving the go-kart, the X30 or the Rotax, they are very very demanding. Also, the Formula 4 cars are very very demanding. So yeah, there's I think
Mm.
all everything is demanding. You can't shy away from anything. You have to be
Yeah.
on your top of your game all the time, and you have to be physically fit all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Because
workout that
yeah.
happens as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important to stay fit.
Mm. Because I saw the an F1 documentary and a Le Mans documentary, and like I saw the
Oh,
conditions of the driver, and I'm like, dude, in F1, like the drivers are racing for 90 minutes in intense condition,
yeah,
and in Le Mans they are racing for 24 hours. Three drivers
yeah,
racing for approximately 8
10,
hours continuously without a break, and at the end
yeah,
of the
true.
race, some of the drivers are not even like able to stand up. That's their
Yeah, true.
condition.
So that was me. That was me in Dubai. But then the thing is, the difference between Formula One and Le Mans is it happens once a year. Le Mans,
Mm.
like it doesn't happen. But then Formula 4, like now it's a triple header, and you're racing again and again and again every week, and the races go on for 1.5 to 2 hours, and you're losing 3 kgs every week. It's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure on the body, and
Mm.
you finish, you finish, you're recovering physically, and then the
Mm.
race starts again for another race. So it's
Yeah.
very demanding, like that way. That way, it's very very demanding, the sport.
Yeah.
And the G forces that you hit in a Formula One car, you don't hit it anywhere. A fighter
Mm.
pilot does hit it, but you don't hit it in a Le Mans car. So the
Mm.
G forces are very bad. It's a toll. It takes a toll on your body. So a race, I think in the 1970s, just because of the G force, he fainted in the car.
Mm.
so it's very bad like that. It's
Yeah.
very exhausting.
Mm.
Yeah,
We have seen fighter pilots pass away, like while doing sorties in the sky. So, like,
yeah,
and Formula One drivers experience the same conditions. So, like, seeing them faint wouldn't be a thing of surprise, but it would be more
yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah, true. But then the fighter pilots, they experience a lot more G forces. So there was the Grosjean crash
Mm.
last year. He experienced 40 G forces, 40. So it was 40 to 50. So it was that heavy on his body,
Exactly.
and he was still safe. So it shows that how far the sport has come, and how it has come, and how it's become a lot safer than it
Mm.
was.
Mm. Thanks
So
to the
I'm
Halo.
happy about that. Yeah, thanks to the Halo as well, and thanks to the whole team as well who
Mm.
made it a
They
lot
jumped in.
safer. Yeah,
They jumped in time. And,
yeah,
like,
damn.
when I saw his accident, the first thing that flashed into my mind was 1976 Nürburgring crash of Niki Lauda.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. And even Ayrton Senna's crash. I think whenever a crash happens, I just go to Ayrton Senna. When a crash of that intensity happens, Ayrton Senna just comes to my mind. I'm like, oh shit. Hopefully he comes out. He comes out. When the fire was burning, I was like, oh my god, is he alive? Is he dead? Is he alive? And it's
Mm.
very sad when you see something like that happening on the
Mm.
screen. Imagine we were going through that. Imagine what his family was going through. So it's pretty bad, like in that way. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's as safe as they can make it right now, and that's a good thing. Like
Mm.
Halo was a huge, great advantage for
Mm.
everyone.
Yeah. And I used to think about this as well. Like, if the Halo was at the Ayrton Senna's time, he would probably be,
Mm.
like, alive today and giving lessons to us.
Yeah, true. I feel like Ayrton Senna's crash was the whole car build was very different that time. So you actually, yeah, I feel if they had the car that he had today, then I'm sure that he would have been alive.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Mm.
time, and I think that helped. I think that incident actually was a reference point
Mm.
and was like a benchmark to make cars safer.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah, so in a way that helped a lot of teams. That helped the whole. It is today the
Mm.
safety standards have reached what it is today, maybe because of that point as well. Maybe because of what happened then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, even uh, like, when the I think it was his doctor when he was, like, determining the cause of death of Ayrton. Like, he said that when he crashed, the side barriers just smashed into his helmet.
into his,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And he was
exactly.
like,
So that's
if
it.
it was just 1 inch below or above his helmet, he would
He
probably
would
been
have
a,
said,
yeah.
yeah,
And I saw the
yeah,
documentary and I
true.
was like, dude, this 1 inch
Yeah,
difference made all,
yeah.
like, caused all of this.
Yeah, but that's how life is. I feel like you have to be in the right place at the right time, otherwise you miss out on so much. So even for me,
Exactly.
if I wouldn't have gone to the track at that moment, maybe I
Mm.
wouldn't have been a racer today.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And, like, incidents like these raise the safety level and ultimately in F1.
yeah, true. Yeah, I think that helped. That set the benchmark that okay, we need to make the car safer. And
Mm.
that weekend, two accidents happened, not just one where two people died.
Yeah.
So it was pretty bad for the whole racing community.
Mm.
And then they started making everything safer. So yeah, that is one turning point in racing.
Mm. Now, like, when did you win your first championship and, like, how did it feel?
So my first championship, I won. Actually, I won with my team. They were so the student motorsports.
Mm.
They were having an in-house championship, and I won that. And they sponsored me for the Formula 4. So that was amazing because the winning. I am in the sport for the winning feeling, for the rush,
Yeah.
for everyone wants to win. No one wants to lose. That's the biggest thing that anyone is looking for. So that winning again and again those races, and then being first in the championship. I have a very close friend named Ashwin. He was also in that championship with me. Both of
Mm.
us attacking, and we're very close friends. That made us friends. That made us grow. The winning, the losing, and both of us fighting for the championship. It was
Mm.
really fun. It was the best moment. Like, and the fact that I won that year, I won the championship. It was the best feeling ever. I was at cloud nine. That was, I think, the championship and the fact that I didn't have to spend a lot on my Formula 4 career at the beginning was again a big boon for me.
Mm,
So yeah, the winning feeling is always crazy. I'm still jumping on the fact that I won the championship,
mm,
and I learned a lot from it. I grew as a person as well.
mm,
I honestly, I think everyone should play a sport in their life because it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you how to take a win. And more importantly, it teaches you how to take a loss. It teaches you how to be with the person when you have a loss. It teaches you sportsmanship. It teaches you
mm.
courage. Teaches you to be in the right attitude. Everyone I feel should play a sport. It's very important in life.
Yeah, doesn't matter
Yeah,
specifically, but
yeah,
just play a sport in
yeah.
general.
This play a sport in general. It keeps you fit also. So that's another
Mm,
thing. So everyone should just play a sport. Taught me a lot. Like losing especially has taught me a lot more than winning.
mm. And exactly,
Yeah,
like that's what I like to see. Like whenever I watch Formula One, or like if I watch MMA, I like to
yeah,
like see, like I'll see everyone wants to win, but I want to
yeah,
see like that person lose one time, because I want to see
yeah,
like how do they take it and how do they
yeah.
recover from it. That's the real testing
Exactly.
point.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that losing is a very big part of your life. It's not, yeah, losing in a sport, it teaches you a lot more than just winning.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, like as long
uh,
as you are winning, like it's all good. It's all good. You are getting
good. Yeah,
you're getting the
yeah,
respect. There are the fans. But what happens the
yeah,
moment you lose? That's when you are
yeah,
tested,
exactly.
and that's what I like to
True,
see.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what are the types of like tracks you typically race in? Like, are they more comprised of straights or are they full of corners?
So whatever tracks I have raced in till now have been a mix of both straights and corners. So I have not really raced in a track where it was just straights or it was just corners. I have had a good balance of, I think, both. Hopefully, when I race in Budh this year, I have a better understanding because Budh has a lot of fast corners. It's a very fast
Mm,
track. It has a
mm,
fastest turn as well. So,
mm.
looking forward to that. Looking forward. You can also come for my race. So it will be in Noida
Yeah,
only. So
for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
I will send you an invite for that for sure.
yes.
Yeah,
And, I think it has a 1 mile straight as well. So you can, like push the car to the maximum and test out its top
yeah.
speed as well.
But my car, no, yeah, the car, I don't think they'll go about 220 or 230, the Formula 4, because they have an STM, the Swift engine.
Mm,
So I don't think they go about 220, 230, but 200 or 220. But yeah, it'll still be fun to go at 220 on those straights and
exactly.
enjoy. Yeah, yeah,
130 miles per hour isn't slow in any way.
yeah, true. Yeah,
And I think BIC is like one of those tracks that is praised by many drivers across the world. Sebastian Vettel
yeah,
has
yeah.
praised that track a lot of times.
Yeah, he's won both the races. That's why he will praise it. Yeah, it has very fast corners. It has
Mm,
very very fast corners, and people love fast corners. So yeah, it's a nice track.
yeah, it's a nice track, man. I think BIC, like we should have Formula Indian GP soon. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah.
Like now, how do you move like up the leagues? For example, if you want to race in Formula 3, can you just go to the organization and start racing, or is there a level which you have to qualify to be eligible to race in Formula 3?
So Formula One, there's this thing. There's this thing called super license, where you need to have a certain amount of points to be a Formula One racer. I'm not too sure about Formula Two. Also, if you need the super license, but how you get that super license is you keep racing. You start getting points when you start go karting. So as you move up, you get more points, more points. As you win championships, as you win races, you add points to your Formula One championship. I think you need to have 51. You need to have 50 super license points to be a Formula One racer. 1 minute, I'm just checking this.
Hmm.
So you need to have those points. So if you have the money, you can directly move up to Formula 3. To be honest, even if you
Hmm.
don't have the talent, you can actually just move up. If you have the money, you can go to Formula 3 directly. But then again, you might not move to Formula 2, but then you will still be in Formula 3.
Hmm.
But if you want to go through talent and actually move up the rank, then it starts with go karting again. Then
Hmm.
Formula 4, for an Indian especially, go karting, then Formula 4. Then, so there are two categories of Formula 4, JK Tire, MRF. You do JK Tire, if you do JK Tire itself, you may directly go to Formula 4 Asia. And then you race, you get experience there, you collect your super license points, and then you go to Europe, you start racing over there. A lot of people, what they do is they start karting and they go directly go karting in Europe if they
Hmm.
have if they can afford it and if they have sponsors. So what they do is they kart in India and then they go directly karting in Europe and then they go to the Formula 4 Europe directly. So they go settle in Europe and then they move up the ranks in Europe itself. That is the easiest way to get into Formula 1. If you go to Europe and you start racing your career from there, it's
Hmm.
the easiest way to get into Formula 1.
Okay.
Start karting, Formula 4 Europe, Formula 3, Formula 2, and you don't just race in Formula 4. So if you're racing in Formula 3, you can also do Formula 4 championships to add points to your super license, and also you can. So if you're racing in Formula 4 or Formula 3 Europe, you can race in Formula 4 Asia side by side. Just the races don't clash. You have to see that, but you can race side by side in both the tournaments as well.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So you can race in as many tournaments as you want, except for F1 drivers, they can't, but others can.
Hmm. So like, how much amount like does a driver have to pay to directly move to F3 racing?
So I would say that a Formula One driver needs at least 5 crores to spare to reach Formula One. It's just there that you need that much money. And then if not 5 crores, at least 2 crores, 2 to 3 crores. If you have the talent, then not 5 crores, but you need
Hmm.
2 to 3 crores to reach Formula One and to actually make a name for yourself,
Hmm.
because nothing comes cheap and you pay for your own damages. So every time you damage your, at least till Formula 3, or if you're not a racing driver, academy driver, you have to pay for your own damages. So every time someone comes crashes into you, also you have to pay. And a Formula One wing, just the front wing that gets damaged the most. If someone just comes and ticks it, it breaks. And that one wing cost as much as an Aston Martin DB11. So you can imagine the cost that gets into the sport.
Hmm. I
That's
just
Formula One though. That's not
yeah,
Formula 3, but yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that's how much a wing costs.
Hmm.
So it's very, very expensive that way.
Yeah, for sure it is. Like just before this podcast was going to start, I saw a drag race between the 2011, like Red Bull winning championship F1 car and a Bugatti Chiron. That car
Ah,
alone cost $62.5 million. So, sorry, not
yeah,
dollars, pounds. So
yeah,
in
yeah.
dollars,
That's
it's
what I'm
about
saying.
$75 million.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's very, very expensive. Just a wing cost as much as an Aston Martin. Just that front wing that people change every weekend. Every weekend they need to change the wing. So you can, I mean, if it's damaged, and sometimes they change it twice, once in a race also. So it's that bad. So it's
Hmm.
very expensive. Even the teams they can't sustain. There were so many teams that came and went. Lotus is still in debt. So there are a lot of teams that come and go as well, but they can't afford the sport. So there are a lot of paid drivers as well, like Nikita Mazepin. He's not a bad driver. He has jumped the ranks. He has,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say he has the talent for Formula One, but he is a good driver. But he got into Formula One because he paid himself into it.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's one of the
Lance
things,
Stroll as well is another example. Lance Stroll, he's a very good driver as well. I wouldn't take anything away from him.
Hmm.
He is a very nice driver, but the way he got into the sport was because of
Hmm.
he became a paid driver. He paid himself into the sport. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't deny the fact that he's a really good driver as well.
Yeah. Before that, like I used to think that talent is the only way of getting into Formula One. But when I saw Nikita and I saw
Yeah,
Lance Stroll, and I was like, dude, I'm okay with Lance Stroll because like that guy genuinely has some talent, which we can like
yeah,
clearly see on the track. He is like
yeah,
clearly competitive with world level championship racers. But with
yeah.
Nikita, I am a bit confused.
But then Nikita also, I feel like we should give him a year, see how he
Yeah,
plays around. But I think he gets too much shit. I feel like
yeah,
he doesn't
I
deserve
think.
that much shit that he
I
gets.
know,
Yeah,
I know. Like people keep bringing up his past, and I'm like,
yeah,
dude, like stop cribbling over his past.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
just
maybe the
focus on what
fact
he
that
was
he's
doing.
not such a good person outside the
Mhm.
track also just adds to the whole frustration of people, I feel.
Exactly. There are some motorsport enthusiasts in my community, and they are like always like bringing up his past, and I'm like, dude, just focus on his present, what he's doing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, true.
exactly.